Good morning and welcome to the Ides of March and Module 9. So, this module is where we start taking all the things that we looked at in the first 8 weeks for the most part and cobbling them into something that is a structure that is required of so many of us in graduate school. And when we first start teaching, and then eventually kind of falls by the wayside of a lesson plan. But before we get into that, I just want to I don't have a ton of notes on the discussion from Module 7, but it was really fun. It was a social media one, and it was wow. It was a love it or hate it different content for people. There's so much of it. Everybody agreed that like the social media is just everywhere. Metaphor of the week, looking at all the social media, it's like handling a glitter bomb. Fun, messy, and impossible to ignore. I thought that was great. Um, so some people, we kind of split between people who were like, "Oh, this was such a fun week because I got to look at a bunch of stuff, and I like to do this. It's one of my relaxing things, and there was some content." And other people were like, "This was a misery." So I get that, and we're allowed to have different attitudes about this. Like it's cool. All right. So somebody made a point about. She said, I am not interested in meeting students where they are with regard to social media. I have boundaries and I want to keep those boundaries there. And I say, yep, that is a solid plan. And we all set our boundaries where we need to. With regard to personal social media, certainly, I don't use it. I'm not a stalker. I lurk. I lurk on Facebook and see what people are up to, and I lurk on Instagram but I almost never post. I very rarely post anything. But when I do, I keep it, family friendly. Like I wouldn't mind my administration seeing it. And when students like friend request me or whatever it's called on Instagram, if they are, I will accept them, but I don't post anything like Instagram. I don't post anything, so it's not a big deal. But like my advisory group, they have a like a group chat, and I'm like, no, not until you graduate. I don't want to know what you're doing until you graduate. Um, all right, we use social media with the community. Oh, somebody was like, yeah, I don't want to, be send anything to my students. And I think especially in the younger grades, elementary grades, you're never going to interact with your students on social media. It's more for the community. And again, this is gravy. Our job is huge. If this is something like, I'll just say, Isabel does great like book talks and all that. She's really good at the social media piece. And so that's something that she focuses on. I suck at it. And so I think I made a school Instagram and I put like 3 posts on it and then gave up because it's just not something I'm good at, although I am attempting to learn TikTok. Oy. Um, so yeah, you use it or don't use it as you need it. Somebody said this is not my role, and it is your role to be aware of it, but yeah, we get to pick and choose what we focus on, especially, I mean, I got 1,300 kids and no assistant in my library. My time is spent where it needs to be spent. So we do need to be aware of it. Information literacy is huge for us, and we do need to talk to our students about it for sure. Where are they getting their information, how reliable it is, and God, social media just vagues the living heck out of it. Let's see. Yeah, so it's based on your own comfort with it, your skill set, but also the needs of your community. And if your community has a robust, social media game in other places, you might want to hop on that. All right, separation from your personal life, very important. I do have the National Honor Society, somebody said how they were, instituting a new sign-in process for their library, and the kids just weren't aware of it because it was sent out in email. It was in the daily announcements, for days. Yet nobody reads the daily announcements at my school either. Like, there's no way to get this information out the day they don't. A lot of kids don't read. The kids and whoever the poster was put it really well. The kids who most need to read their email are not reading their email, which 100% get ya. I don't know what to do about it, but you're all on the same page. All right, so that's the feedback on the discussion, which I have been thoroughly enjoying throughout the class. And so let's take a look forward Is there anything else I need to tell you about? Oh, okay. So before those of you who just prefer to read the thing take off, I will say that you can use partners for this. I'm not going to set you up with partners. I'm going to do that for the thing at the end, the OPAC thing. But for this one, if you have somebody you want to work with, I love partner work, but I also know not everybody does. So look around and see if you want to partner up. Just make sure that you put in the comments of the assignment thing who your other person is too. So I worked on this with, Ava Gabor or whoever you worked with. All right, and that way I can grade them both at the same time. Okay, so those of you who want to disperse may disperse. I'm just going to go through the content page, show you what's here. There's not a lot. This is pretty much just an assignment. So the premise is that you are working with a teacher. Well, you have two options. If you are if you tend more toward the high school, middle school, high school thing, because you probably, hopefully, have a flex schedule, you're kind of at the mercy of your colleagues for who wants to work with you. In elementary, you have your own, usually your own set schedule, you're writing your own curriculum. So for elementary, this is this is one of the few assignments that I give that I think is kind of a little bit easier for you because you can just do a unit plan and by unit plan, I mean, write me a paragraph of what you're going to cover in this unit. So the unit plan doesn't have to be structured in any specific way, but within that unit plan, I think I said 3 to 5 lessons. You're going to be plugging 10 tools or apps into the content. And you're never going to have to, nobody's going to come to you. Well, maybe they will come to you and say, listen, you have to find a way to use this tool in your teaching. I guess it sometimes does feel that way, but in reality, content always comes first, and then the tools serve the content, except in this assignment, because I just want you to be fiddling around with how, you would use these tools. And it's just, I also want you to, so first is looking at how you use these tools with students, assessment, presentation, however you're going to do it. The other piece is a familiarity with the standards, which you really do need. So, and because one of the great things about us is that we do have familiarity with all the standards, and so we're a really useful, cog in our building. All right, so you're going to build a unit plan that incorporates 10 tools or apps in 3 to 5 lessons and upload it to the grading tool. Recount your exploration in your blog. I said post your top 5 tools from the past 8 weeks. A lot of people already did that, but they were like, these are my 5 favorite apps. These are my 10 favorite tools. Like a lot of people have used that format. Feel free to just copy and paste. But because, we looked at social media, we looked at multimedia, there's a bunch of different things. So out of all of the things, what are your big takeaways? And it doesn't have to be super fancy. If you want to put a little picture, I love it when you guys, many of you will, when you're writing about a tool, you put a little picture of the icon, you put a link to the thing. It's a nice visual, way of doing it. But your mileage may vary. If you're somebody who's not familiar with lesson plans, this is going to be a heavy lift for you this week. If you're a classroom teacher, you're welcome because what you can do is so you can set it up as if you're doing all all of the lessons with your library kids, if you have library kids. In the high school, if you're collaborating, you can collaborate with a teacher who looks shockingly like yourself. Feel free to repurpose lessons you already use and then integrate technology, or if you're already using technology, feel free to do that. I just want to know that you can take 10 tools and integrate them into curriculum. I'm trying to think of any of the details. Oh, you can use AI does a great lesson plan. However, I want you to use the SSU format. So I want you to have it in this template. This is the format that works for me. I should also add something because you do need to have student work and rubrics. I think, can I just add it here? Don't, yes, look at me go. Don't forget. Student work and rubrics. And again, you can use rubrics that already exist. You don't have to build your own. If you got a school-wide rubric in your building, feel free. Student work doesn't have to be super fancy, but just what you would expect from if you had an assignment from what a kid would put in. All right. So this is the format that I want you to use, but feel free to go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I need to, I want to, all right. look at the standards, and we have several. So here are the AASL standards, which are there is legislation in place to make these standards like to go into the standards thing. When you look at this, and you see it, it would have those there. It's so exciting. So these are standards. It's important that you know about them. I mean, you can reference them. The standards that you're going to use for your actual content with your students for now are in here. There's career technical, comprehensive health, world languages, English, arts, history, and social science. A lot of the sweet spot, although some people have been doing some really great science standards too. I have yet to see mathematics standards make their way into this assignment. The digital literacy and computer science frameworks, particularly if you're doing this so that it's just your, if you've got your library kids doing this, the DLCS frameworks are the ones that we, can really have an impact with. All right. So, which is why I gave you a whole other thing here. Then, what is this? Oh, this is Common Core, which you don't even hear about anymore, but they still exist. If you want to take a look, feel free. Then, of course, because I can't help myself, here's 75 digital tools and apps that you can use to support formative assessment because, assessment's important. So there you go. These are all things that probably have already come up, but they're all in one little thing. And then here's the format that I want it in with my handy reminder at the bottom. All right. Um, you know, it's a journey. I believe in you. I think you can do it. And it's really good. There's just a lot of things that we need to be aware of that are sort of coming together in here, coalescing. And I mean, I feel like who did I say it to? If you don't enjoy bringing order from chaos, are you even a school librarian? So it's nice to get this information and put it in a structure. I don't know, soothing for me. Hopefully it feeds your soul the same way. All right, that is all I've got. You will probably be hearing from me later this afternoon or tomorrow as I endeavor to scale Mount Module 7 and get some more um, grading done. So I appreciate your patience with that. Things are finally slowing down around these parts, and I will see you on the discussion boards. Have a good week. Bye.